Hello and welcome to the DJ Force 10 in Conversation podcast, episode 139. My guest on this show today, something to look forward to, which is Trevor, the frontman from the band The Black Dahlia Murder. They have just released their brand new album, Verminious, and it is out now, so go stream it, buy it. They've got plenty of different versions of it, even a Dungeons and Dragons like RPG version, which is absolute insanity. But we do talk about that in the show, along with the vinyl releases that they've got as well, which is again fantastic range of stuff on there, but I'm not going to spoil anything else for you. Quick shout out to North Lane interview yesterday. Great response. Had some contact with people talking about they loved hearing about the mental health aspect side of things, and yeah, that sort of like it helped them, which is great. It's one of those things where you can relate to so many people on so many levels, and it can take years for it to be diagnosed or even realized that is what is going on with your health. So yeah, thank you to those people, and yeah, please continue listening. These shows are here for you guys, so please do. Another quick sort of like plea, if you will, reviews, ratings, stuff like that. If you could do that, follow me on Spotify, which is a great little thing on there. If you're a Spotify user, you can actually follow the podcast, and it updates you whenever there's a new one available. And obviously, I've been releasing them daily, so you probably get daily updates from me from there. But obviously, once things go back to some kind of normality, this won't be an everyday thing. But right now, it's one of the things keeping me occupied, and hopefully keeping you guys occupied as well, which is great. But without much further ado, I am going to leave you in the capable hands of myself and Trevor for this interview. Enjoy. I'd like to welcome to my show Trevor. He's the frontman from the Black Dahlia Murder. Welcome.
Hey, man, thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Like I said before, absolutely my pleasure, man. It's actually great speaking to you. I've been a fan of your band for, I don't want to say how many years, but quite a while. And
That's awesome.
So actually having the sort of like position to actually like speak to you guys is absolutely great. So, but yeah, we're here to talk about your latest album. Verminious, is that pronounced correctly?
Yep. Right.
Cool. I got that right. Fantastic. Which came out about a month ago now, as we're speaking. And yeah, I mean, it's a beast of an album. I got to tell you that straight off the bat. When I got sent the teaser track, if you will, the title track, back in February, I was very much looking forward to hearing the whole album. And I wasn't disappointed. You'll probably be glad to hear.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah. Sorry, it's not all ass kissing at this point. But I just wanted I absolutely love it. I love like How Very Dead, that track. That was really good. And there's a few other sort of beasts on that album, the whole fucking album, to be honest with you. But yeah, I just want to see, like, how's that been with you guys? Because obviously it kind of came out around this whole global shitstorm we're in right now. How's that been for you? Sort of like, obviously you've released a few albums in the past. How have you adapted to the sort of like promotional side of things?
Honestly, if we're all going to be trapped inside for a year, like, the best thing you could do is have a new album coming out during it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we still have tons of content coming down the pipes. And, we could have got caught at the end of a record cycle with nothing new to offer during this time, So, honestly, like, I think this is the best way it could have played out. And, it's giving fans something to look forward to, something to occupy them during all this, boring downtime.
Uh-huh.
The speed of life is at like zero right now. So if, you drop an album and there's nothing else to do but listen to it, I think that's kind of like a good situation to be in. So, and there's still tons of press that we've been able to do, like over the internet, thankfully.
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of publications are just, looking for something to do too. So we did like an extra, like, big push as far as press went. And, so, at first it was like, yeah, this is a real bummer to not be out on tour. You know, obviously we could have sold more records the first week if we were out on tour. And, you know, the record stores were also closed during the first week.
Yeah.
But we still managed to hit the charts really hard. Really thankful for all the fans showing up and rallying behind us. And so, yeah, I'm satisfied with this. I'm happy that we didn't wait to put it out like a lot of bands did. You know, we got in just for the vinyl plants were shutting down, and we just skated under that pretty much.
I was going to ask, because you released, well, I just put in my notes, all the vinyl. The amount of different versions that you released, the different colors, the limited runs of stuff, that was amazing. Like when I saw that, I was just like, oh my God, which one do I want to get? Because I'm a big vinyl head. So, you know, it's like, which one? You know.
Oh, that's cool. You know, if we can appeal to you like that, that's the goal, really. You know, it's hard to get people to buy physical copies of anything anymore. So, you know, we're trying to like be fan forward and think about what the fans want and be creative with our pre-order stuff. You know what I mean? And I think that we definitely hit that on the head this time between like doing the Dungeons and Dragons expansion, having the slime filled vinyl too. You know, it created a lot of excitement for the pre-order, and that's exactly what you want, you know?
No, that is. I mean, like I said, when I just literally in my notes, it's just like all the vinyl versions. That is literally what I've put. But it was just like, it was amazing when I like looking at it, and I'm just sort of like, which one's, you know, which one do I get? Which one am I likely to get? Because you did like obviously limited runs and stuff, and you know, and also the Dungeons and Dragons like edition, which again, that's brilliant. Again, I'm just kissing your ass completely in here. But it was just like, because I'm like, you know, I'm a geek, a nerd, or whatever you want to call it. I play D&D with my kids at the moment because we're doing that during this downtime. But yeah, what was the sort of like, you know, what was the? I guess that was received quite well on that front, because I can't see it for sale anywhere.
Well, it's something that we kind of like flirted with a couple of different albums now, and it started at set and like a die cut Dungeon Master screen. Then when I brought it up again this year for like, you know, when we were trying to brainstorm ideas for the album, our merch guy Kareem, he runs Night Shift Merch, our merch company, and he's been like a long time friend of the band, and he used to be our tour manager for several years. So
okay,
you know, he's somebody that we're really tight with. But he was like, oh man, let's take it even further. Let's like have a one-off adventure written around the themes of the album and the artwork and stuff. And yeah, that was it, man. That was definitely an awesome idea. We got, you know, we collaborated with some great artists, and we tapped Nerdgore for the art, and Dungeon Punks wrote the whole like script and everything. Nice. And there's definitely some metal nods kind of like woven into the fabric of the language there. And, you know, it's definitely got some tongue in cheek aspects like tucked in there for the metal. And yeah, but role playing is like, was so huge in my early life. And it definitely led me to being curious about metal, because I used to like cruise the metal record store as a young kid and kind of check out all the artwork. And, you know, I was like, man, they got skeleton music out there, dude. You know, they got dragon music. You know,
that's amazing. No, I absolutely love that. That totally, like, it totally speaks to me on that level as well. Like, just like if I was in that, I would have loved to have done something like that. That's yeah, that's great. Talking about like the sort of like adventure that you've like the guys put together, and it sort of goes on the theme of the album or themes of the songs. I was wondering if we could take us through a couple of that. Does the album have is it like a continuous story, or is each track kind of its own entity, if you will?
I mean, it's not really a concept record per se. There are a couple songs that kind of like retread the really, which is like that death metal is like this hidden world, and we are the rats and roaches and undesirable critters that are spreading that plague of knowledge, basically. And it's definitely talked about in the song Verminious, and it's circled back to Sunless Empire, which talks about it's like metaphors between like the underground scene and the underground kind of world, like this sewer world that I kind of tried to depict with the album artwork too.
Yeah.
But Otherwise, I mean, it's just like a kind of a grab bag of different stuff, different ideas. There's a vampire song, very typical for Black Dahlia Murder song. There's a song about being embalmed alive. That's How Very Dead.
Yeah.
The Werewolf's Feast is about at night, and that came on in an interesting way. We were just kind of joking around backstage, and we were in Europe, and we were playing some shows with this band Vervum.
Oh yeah,
and we were like, doing goofy accents, and we're like, yeah, man, Werewolf's up next, and then our drummer was like, Wereworm, and I was like, that's kind of cool. Maybe I should think about that, and just kind of like filed it away for to work on. But pretty cool how that came together. Nice. But it's a mixed bag. Definitely got a lot of horror elements. Dahlia record does. There's a song about Jack the Ripper, which is pretty cliche in metal if you look at it one way. But I just like tradition. I like kind of like looking back to what's been done in classic metal and kind of trying to tap into that. And, what we do with our themes and artwork, I feel like I'm staying the course and hoping it will get into the band and be excited about these same into metal,
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. And I love all that sort of stuff. And, the sort of like general sort of like history, like sort of like within the sort of metal echelon, really, there's quite a few, like obviously being from England, we kind of have a few of those here, like you say, Jack the Ripper. But no, I love that kind of like storytelling in whatever kind of genre music, and you guys do it in a sort of very kind of like what kind of, I don't know, genre-lize you guys, but in an aggressive manner, and it's great, like, because sometimes with like bands like yourselves, a lot of like the content can be kind of simplistic and kind of not I don't want to say not intelligent, but you get what I mean. It's very, I'll just go with simplistic.
No, for sure. I feel like to approach it the way that I do, I try to like give more long, I try to like what happens in the song and make the storyline match every moment of it, and so when the music climaxes, the story does as well. And, it's a tricky format to write a story to, like, and written kind of, with the music, but it's a challenge. It's something that I enjoy. I really enjoy writing for the people, take the time out to investigate my lyrics and stuff. And, it means a lot.
No, that's really good. It is really good, because that's what kind of drew me to you guys as well. Is like I was into very much my sort of like hardcore and sort of elements of sort of black metal and stuff like that, and sort of like groove metal, whatever genres were sort of there and about. But no, you guys with your kind of like, I've always loved bands that can tell stories in their songs. So I've always loved stuff like, for instance, Iron Maiden, to go for a sort of like a stereotypical one, if you will. But you guys took that sort of like really kind of aggressive genre and made it like, have those stories within your lyrics. Because I do read lyrics if I really like the songs and stuff, or I want to investigate further. And it's really good that you guys can do it in that style.
It's a lot of orbs. Like, I saw how like their songs were kind of like a story or comic strip. It felt like, like a 3-minute comic strip. Yeah. And that had a big impact on me. I really liked that approach.
Cool. So what are your guys, have you got any sort of like, I don't know, a lot of bands are kind of making plans to sort of post the pandemic sort of thing. Have you guys set anything in place? Obviously you had to cancel a tour, you had to sort of like, adapt and evolve, but have you guys put anything, like penciled anything in for like later this year or maybe even next year?
We were a lot more optimistic a month ago, and we lost the Testament tour. Obviously, that was the one we were supposed to have just done.
Yes.
So we were like thinking ahead. We were like, all right, well, we'll of the States for the we assembled the lineup. We had like a rough routing already, but we had plans to be in Europe in the winter.
Yep.
That's not looking great either. So I don't think we're going to really solidify anything until we know more. You know what I mean? I think we'll just be like kind of wasting resources and kind of getting excited about nothing really.
Yeah.
But definitely a bummer. Like one of the bad parts about this is that, we can't really push the new record with that angle. You know what I mean? Usually we're on tour, like, just incessantly. So it definitely hurts in that regard. Definitely a financial blow to all of us to lose, especially that Testament tour. That was going to be like the biggest tour we'd ever done here in the States. You know what I mean? And very high profile. But, we're just trying to stay optimistic, and, people are receiving the album very well. And, we're just trying to kind of stay omnipresent on social media right now and do as many opportunities to go along and what have you. And, I've been on Twitch too, trying to, entertain the fans and, kind of keep the new album in the front of their minds by just being kind of omnipresent and really from this angle, and what's going to happen in the next few months. It's hard to say, man. It's hard to say how this is going to play out. And, we're just trying to take it else pretty much.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a pretty open-ended question that I asked you there anyway. So it's just kind of like because some of the, I've obviously being in this time, a lot of you sort of guys are at home. So I've actually sort of seized upon the opportunity to talk to a lot of you. And some of them, some musicians, some bands have made plans, which I think are probably going to get cancelled now. A couple of bands I interviewed actually postponed their album release, which was very strange considering the amount of press they had rolling up with it. And they've gone and I understand why they've delayed it, but at the same time, all this press they've had done. So you on about resources and stuff. It's it's a crazy amount of resource. I saw one particular band kind of not throw away, but just sort of I don't know if that's going to capitalize. They're going to be able to capitalize on it or not.
I feel for all the bands that had to interrupt their schedules, and I hope that it plays out in the best way possible when they resume what they're doing.
Yeah.
For us, there was a question of whether we wanted to pull the plug, and we just had too many things in motion already.
Yeah.
And it ended up being cool anyway. So I'm happy with how this is playing out, honestly, for what we were up against.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good. I mean, speaking from a sort of music fan perspective, it's been great because the bands that have released, because I've got the time, I've actually been able to listen to a lot of music that I probably wouldn't have been able to listen to, give my full attention to, I should say. Because I obviously, being in the position I'm in, I get sent a lot of music just through the show that you're on right now, and also I DJ in rock clubs and stuff in England. So I get sent loads of stuff, but not everything gets listened to initially, if I'm perfectly honest, because I get so much of it. But now I'm in my... Well, I say studio. I'm in my garage that is decked out as a studio. But it and I actually I mean, your record I would have listened to straight off the bat anyway, which I did. But there's been bands that I've had come through or been sent to me that I probably would have listened to when it would have been a bit too late, promotion wise. But even on that front, even as a sort of pleasure front on music, in the house, I've got my sort of family in my house, and when I'm working, I've got music on. When I'm in the house, we've got music on, and occasionally interrupted by the television. But it's just sort of having that, right now, I'm getting through so much music and I'm loving it. It's just this is great. I'm there's no purpose behind it.
We're back 7th grade, just sitting in front of our stereos, and there's nothing else to do. And yeah, it's in that way, it's great to have a new album out for people. You know what I mean? They have a really slow speed of life right now, like I said earlier, and plenty of time to focus on new music. And just glad we could be there to hopefully lift people's spirits during this time.
No, it's been awesome. It's been awesome. So thank you for sort of sticking with the release schedule and everything, because otherwise we wouldn't be talking so much at the moment. So, but I've got a couple of questions left for you, Trevor, if that's all right. And I can let you get on with the rest of your day. But yeah, what I want to know, these are sort of specifically aimed at yourself rather than the band. But what I'm after are your 3 top albums that kind of gave you the sort of inspiration to pick up the microphone, or get involved in music.
Have to be Megadeth, Countdown to Extinction. That was not the first metal record I heard. I realized I was a metalhead, and that I was going to be bull at school and that whole thing. Then there was Suffocation, Pierce from Within.
Nice.
That was my first death metal record that I ever bought, and that blew my head off for sure. And Carcass, Tools of the Trade EP, that one definitely had an influence.
Nice.
Want to do vocally.
Yeah.
Having the two voices, the high and low, like interplay between Jeff. And when I heard that, I just thought it was so scary and intense. That definitely was the impetus for doing what I do with Black Dahlia.
That's amazing. I mean, I love Carcass. That EP is great. But yeah, I can definitely hear the influences in your sound with that. But it's, I mean, yeah, Carcass, the Suffocate album as well. Suffocation, sorry. That was a great one. And Megadeth, well, Megadeth, you know. So, but yeah, no, great choices there. Great choices. I'm actually going to go back and listen to Carcass, I think, after that. I haven't listened to them for ages. Since I think their last album came out a few years ago. I think I listened to that recently. But yeah, I'm going to go back into their archives.
That deal was really good.
Yeah, cool. And finally, I think we've already touched upon most of it, but what are your hobbies away from music? So when you're not like with the band or whatever, what do you do?
I mean, I'm collecting music. I get CDs in the mail almost every day, honestly. I buy so many albums and collect physical copies. I'm sitting in a room surrounded by like 4,000 metal CDs right now. So like that's a big part of my looking out new bands and kind of staying up is a big part of it. Lots of old school Nintendo and retro gaming.
Nice.
I've been, kind of going on Twitch lately, which has been fun.
Yeah.
Talking Metal Shop with the fans and playing some old Nintendo games. And, that's been fun for me, definitely. What else? Yeah, that's pretty much it, man.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty simple.
No, that's cool. I mean, I'm very much into my retro gaming myself. Like, I used to own, I'd say, all the sort of like Nintendo lineup up until the first Wii, and then all the Sega lineup up until the Dreamcast as well. I was a collector at one point. I had like walls of games and stuff, and then I moved to America and I sold it all. Which is one of those things where you're like, I regret this now. But I've sort of gradually started to get back into it. Like, I've managed to pick up some of those like classic mini consoles, which seems to be kind of like scratching that itch.
Yeah, those are cool for sure.
Yeah, but what's your favorite? Like, is it the NES is your favorite machine, or do you have a preference on your favorite retro gaming machine?
It's definitely the NES, but I use an analog system, which is like some boutique shit that they make in Washington.
Yeah. And
it has like actual Nintendo guts inside of it, but it's also like straight to HDMI, so it looks amazing. My heart is definitely with NES, but I also like Master System, and I like that 16-bit era of systems as well. But yeah, that's where my heart is. There's something like, I'm a really nostalgic person, with music and with gaming and movies. And it just takes me back to like being young, man, being in third grade, and, like, having my digital babysitter pretty much,
Yeah, no, I totally get that. My first owned console was Genesis. So I was like, that was the first one I got given for Christmas. Like, prior to that, my brothers had like Spectrum, ZX Sinclair Spectrum and stuff like that. But yeah, I remember many sort of like all-nighters playing Streets of Rage, Sonic, going through it, then owning a Nintendo, a Super Nintendo, going through all those, nights playing just Zelda and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, very, very fond memories of gaming on that front.
Sure, for sure.
What would you say your like favorite game was or is?
Really like the Castlevania series.
Nice.
2 for Nintendo. Like, people shit on it, but I find it to be really awesome. And Symphony of the Night for PS1, another awesome Castlevania game. There, some role-playing games too, like from the early days. The first Dragon Warrior or Dragon Quest, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
Shining Force series for Genesis.
Nice.
Phantasy Star series for Genesis.
Yeah.
These for Super Nintendo were also great.
Nice. No, I mean, they're all, I'm gonna go play my my Mega Drive Mini, so I'm gonna go do now. But no, thank you very much for this, Trevor. That's it. That's all I've got now. I want to thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it. I know you guys are kind of like, you know, you're stuck at home or whatever, but I do appreciate the time you spend, you know, answering these questions and stuff. So.
No worries. Thanks for having me, dude. I really appreciate it. It's been fun.
Cool. Excellent. Well, good luck with everything. Hopefully once this whole shitstorm blows over and everything and you guys can make it back over here. I know you're lined up for Bloods, or you were lined up for Bloodstock, and I know they've postponed that by a year. But I was planning to be there. So
yeah, hopefully we'll still be a part of that. And, you know, the plan is to hit the ground running as soon as possible. And, you know, try to keep the momentum alive for this record. So
totally. Well, good luck with all that. And I hope you stay well and everything. And have a good rest of your day, man.
Right on, dude. Thanks. You be safe too.
Thank you, mate. Bye-bye.
Take care.